I'll say welcome back to the To Be Fair show. I am your host, Johnny P.
Over here, real.
It's Q.
And we back. Number 19. Before we get started, I want to say check us out on IG, Facebook, TikTok at the To Be Fair show. Go ahead and subscribe. Hit the button in the corner for notifications on our YouTube pre-show every Sunday, 12:30. Tentative, but 12:30 every Sunday. Yeah, give us music recommendations, send us memes.
Hey, can I?
Let us know what y'all talking about. What you got?
Yeah, I
Bro?
think that we probably should set ourselves up for failure. I like one at least.
One.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think one is
one.
probably like a one.
1 p.m. every
Yeah, yeah.
Sunday. How about that? 1
One.
p.m. every
Yeah.
Sunday. That's better actually. Yeah, 1 p.m. 1 p.m.
It's all about being, I like to start with honest with self. You know what I mean? When you
Yeah.
start with
You,
honesty with
sometimes you can be
self,
too
then
ambitious.
you know what I mean?
12:30
You don't
too
need to put
ambitious.
yourself on the cliff.
12:30 too ambitious.
Johnny, I guess it does sound like we're starting to kind of like build a to be fair tree. I guess like it's a lot of different branches. I heard Rail Tone they got some content coming for us.
We came up with the To Be Fair show presents Life Ain't Fair. And you
Like
know what I
it.
mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna kick my own
Life ain't
you know
fair.
what I mean? Go ahead and get these haters. Bro, I'm finna get fried on the joint because I'm gonna give everything
No, you
all
gonna
of my
be telling
juice.
you gonna be handing out L's on that motherfucker.
Yeah,
Hold
hey,
this, hold that.
hey,
Yeah.
hold it, fuck it.
Nah, that's dope. That's dope.
We got the first listens, obviously.
First
Mm-hmm.
listen.
I don't know. I've been toying with this idea. I'm a basketball guy, so I might want to like dive a little bit inside some basketball shit, but we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
I ain't really like
Yeah,
like
I
so.
was thinking about. I also was
Uh
thinking about. You said just dive in. I was thinking. I love Tone's mom, so
oh
some,
Well, I mean,
uh.
He said,
yeah.
So when you say diving, what do you mean by that?
Yeah,
hey,
where
we leave. Hey,
what do you
let's let
mean
it
by
go. That was just funny. As soon
Yeah,
as it came up, I was like, "That was
yeah. Why don't you say what you mean by
no."
it?
I love you, Mama
Roz
Roz.
watching.
I love you, Mama Roz. You're the goat.
Mm. Yeah, that's nice.
I'm gonna bring it through the show next week.
I love it. That would be fire.
that shit would be hilarious.
Just to say I love your mom in front of her.
Right while
That
she's
would be
there,
funny.
that would be golden. I ain't gonna hold you.
Nah, she she
And tell
she
her
got
bring
some
that banana
comebacks.
pudding.
Oh no, Mama Roz.
Yeah,
She's
that's not the
swift.
one to do.
She's swift with it. You know what I
She
mean?
real swift with it.
She's
She gonna
swift.
hit the
She gonna
jugglers.
come back. She gonna come back. But let's go into the topics. I don't know where we want to start. I'll we'll introduce them first, and then we can pick and choose where we want to go.
Mm.
Okay.
But I guess mine is accountability. Are we placing our accountability in the wrong places as a society?
Mm.
I think
Who hurt you?
who hurt you?
Who
And,
hurt
and
you?
now y'all had the most fun. You know what I mean? Y'all got a good chuckle out of mine, but mine was where we at with it. If she doesn't cut the grass or take out the trash, what are two things that you don't do?
As a man.
So we talk about, you know what I mean, equality and within relationships, these modern 50-50 things. So I just want to know, you know what I mean? What are the two things?
That's a good one. I don't know. I'm at the
Huh?
sit back
Yeah.
and do what we want to do. But yeah, what y'all? Where
You want
y'all
me to
at?
kick off it?
I think we should start with cues. I like that. I like that. Who hurt you? I like that.
Okay. All right. So I guess I'll frame it and then I'll toss it. So who hurt you? Right. I think that's like the clickbaitable thing. I think that we all hear that thrown around, whether it's social media. Maybe sometimes it might be a person that is like looking at your actions and they might say those words. Um, but I think that there is a level of depth that comes to that actual question when we start talking about ourselves, and how we operate and maneuver within relationships and even our friendships, right? Um, and what led me to thinking this, like we're inside this new age in which like trauma is a big thing. You know what I mean? Just emotional intelligence is a big thing. And to me, branching that off, I like to pose to y'all. Do y'all think that it is important, like when inside a relationship, to express some of the things, the traumas, the situations and scenarios of why you may act the way that you act, whether right or wrong. An example I would give would be like, whether it's I go through phones or something like that. Somebody that might have snuck and just went through your phone, and then like there's two ways you can kind of look at that. This person is crazy, or this is a response from previous trauma. What actually was the antecedent? Like, why do you do that? And I think that ends up being like a better conversation, where I believe also we all have our different layers and levels to why we act, react, and move in different ways in relationships. Some people we ain't even got to go down the whole diatribe. I'll throw first question out. How important do you think it is when in a relationship to actually be transparent enough to speak through with your partner some of the things that have made you who you are,
I mean, I think,
or act the way you act?
I mean, that go down to that vulnerability piece. I think you gotta, I mean, in order to be a good partner to somebody, you gotta know what makes them them. If we don't, if I don't know anything about your motivations or anything, how can I, motivate you to be any better, or be there when you're not motivated to help motivate you. So I mean, you got to know those things. And a lot of times, that's not like something that's just gonna happen. You can't like sit and force it, but that's something that over time when you have those, you got to build a certain level of rapport, a bond, trust, and you slowly, unpeel peel the onion, and get to those layers, but you just don't, get to it immediately.
Yeah.
But yeah, over time, it definitely is something that I mean, why wouldn't you? Like I don't understand how you couldn't, and while you're in a relationship, not try to figure out what's happening. Especially if you meet somebody older, you meet somebody 30 plus, like who
Got to.
now if I've known you since we was 18, I might not need the whole, rundown.
Like you experience most of these together.
Yeah, but if we
You
30
dating at
plus,
33.
we need
It's a lot
It's a
there.
lot of shit that happened, before you got to me, or vice versa, before I got to you. So I think it's
You might not be crazy. It might be scars
yeah, but I
that you
mean,
kind of like working through.
eventually, I also think though, I
Uh-oh.
mean, you gotta be more than what happened to you. I tell this to everybody too. You can't just keep on acting crazy because something bad happened to you. I mean, eventually, you do have to, especially if you got something that you could possibly lose by not. You have to. You can't just lean on. You can't use trauma as a crutch either.
I agree.
You
Victimize
can't keep me
yourself.
going through my phone just because you went through his phone and found something. Like, what kind of excuse is that to keep on going? Like, let's talk about it and
Right.
see how we can
Well,
stop. That's just that as an example. I was
oh no, I
just
agree
going
with it.
back to that
But
as
I
an
think
example.
that a healthy way of looking at it also would be that um, if this person went through your phone and then they continue to do it even after recognizing where it comes from, in comparison to like a person might have like relapsed because this scenario triggered them, and then y'all sit and have a real conversation,
Oh, true.
like actually communicate
Yeah.
and be like, oh, this is what it is. Because I know sometimes I don't really put two and two together. Matter of fact, we had a good conversation earlier that goes exactly to this exact point. So we was talking earlier, and we was talking about Nerf guns, water guns,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
right? And like Johnny had this, and he was giving like this comparison of, dang, it's crazy that we allow kids to play with these, and like we also be like talking about the gun rights, John. But then I had to sit and think, you know what? Damn, I am not a gun person, but it is a direct response to how I was raised, in which we weren't allowed to play with those.
Me neither.
And that's what I was about to say.
We didn't
Some
have
people
water
did it.
guns. We didn't have any of that. And like again, my parents coming from Jersey when it was like that era. My father Marine, like it was a real intentional emphasis put on that. But until that moment, I didn't really like put two and two together, and it clicked right there. So like now I can articulate it.
Yeah.
But it was the behavior that I had that I didn't really think about the response that I was giving until it was addressed.
And see, and that was what I was going. Even like I understand, it's a great question, but I think that a lot of us will go through and not even really identify what actually scarred us.
Yeah, and
You know what I mean?
that's
And
a
see,
self work part too.
and the thing is I'm definitely an advocate for therapy. You know what I mean? I've been going through therapy for years now. Years, like shoot, what I got 2014 from 2014 until now. Well, 2013, 2012ish until now. And I ain't saying like, but either way, I'm an advocate for therapy because in those therapy sessions, I think a lot of people tend to think that these people are going to try to tell you how to live your life, but that is not how it goes. They generally just ask great questions and allow you to come to your own conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so what I'll say is that like I think that that's the first step is just because you can, like you say, you can because you have taken if you haven't actually thought this thing through, you could literally be the villain while playing victim.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't properly identify that, then you'll sit there and interpret this thing as I got this person hurt me and that person hurt me while the whole time they were literally responding to your action. But I do think that it's very important to have those conversations. And y'all know how I am. Honestly, if I was like on a dating scene, like this is why I don't really get it, is because like I'm the type person where I'm gonna just tell you. I ain't the person that's trying to feel out when I can tell you my real like because I don't really care. Like I don't feel like I don't care what you judge or don't. You know what I mean? So like for me, it won't take. It ain't the type of person that it take time for me to warm up to you to tell you who I am. I don't have to warm up. Like I'm gonna let you know who I am and how I am just off the strength. Just because I just you know what I mean. I think that's just me. I don't tend to try to put up walls and stuff. You know what I mean? But I was yeah. I think well to answer the question again directly, I think that it is very very important to first identify completely what it is that did hurt you, and make sure that you're interpreting the scenario with accountability as well. And it's very important to express those things because then just give somebody the opportunity to possibly uh, give some understanding to you know what I mean, why you react to this way or that way, and then you could to positively, you know what I mean, because I could, like you said, like I can provide a pro to your con if we actually have that conversation.
Right. Or even sometimes the way that you act is way more understandable if it's attached to like, okay, this experience shaped that. Right? So like, you know what I mean? Sometimes, for example, like your needs and wants from a woman might be different, but you might not understand that if you didn't have the understanding of like, oh, this is the experience that he's went through for 10, 20 years or 12 years. And this is like his framing of a relationship to which these are his expectations, which leads to like what he looks at inside specific scenarios for a person or a partner. Where I think your history does matter when you're talking to people and talking with people.
Your history creates your lens.
Mm-hmm,
No,
mm-hmm.
that's fact.
Yeah. And so yeah, I guess one I would say that I think that this is one of those things that when we're speaking about communication, I think that like this is one of those things that when you're inside a long-term relationship is important to actually start unpacking and getting to, because the communication isn't just basically saying whatever the hell is in your mind every single time and every moment. Like there's actual real technique and understanding that goes to it, in which like building strong relationships, whether friendships, partnerships, relationships, it is important to be able to understand when and how to do all of these things. And again, like this is like one of those little techniques in which I don't know, maybe I might start like a branching of questions that dive into like very interesting communication pieces that I think would be good to make sure that you're unpacking in a communication. I mean, inside a relationship, outside of just talking about shit and just saying how your day went and how, like, you know what I mean, just like the regular things of things. Before we get off it, there's two things I want to ask. I want to ask one, so what is a thing? This might be easier or harder to kind of like think through in the moment. A thing that has shaped you inside relationships. You don't have to give a person, but you know what I mean, like a thing. And then I'd also like to leave off with what is the positive that has shaped who you are as a person. A positive experience with the person that has shaped who you are, or a positive experience that has shaped who you are. Yeah.
Well, I guess the first thing is for me, it's easier to come with like a positive one. You know what I mean?
Okay.
A positive. It's much easier for me to come up with that one. So like in a relationship, like as shoot, if you watch the pod, you already know like I've been in a traditional relationship for quite some time, And what I can say is that like it literally it's provided me the opportunity to become like a leader in my life and at all times. Like it's different when you're like a leader at the basketball on the basketball team and you lead in basketball
Mm-hmm.
versus like in live time being a leader in your household. Like that's a positive for me. You know what I mean? Because it's literally the level of accountability, which as men, we generally are held accountable for the things that, but the level of accountability when you're actually dealing with leading your house, I don't think a lot of men get to actually experience it. Um, and experiencing it, especially like from like 19, 20 years old, when I didn't have any understanding, it forced me to have to try to figure it out like much faster. First time having an apartment, like I was literally had nothing before that. You know what I mean? First time that's what you know what I mean. Everything happened from there, and it forced me to mature my idea with money and everything. And so like that literally that singular decision is has created a lot of fruit in my life. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I ain't gonna say it's not the easiest thing. You know what I mean? As you already know, I always say miserable is coming. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like I learned so much and continue to learn. You know what I mean? The level of forgiveness that comes with I don't learn about it's a lot of different Jones like forgiveness that it takes to have that 10-year relationship. Like all of those type of things. Where it's so many. To me, I can definitely. It's even with all of the turmoil, it's harder to point out the negatives than it is to point out the
So
positives.
you don't think so? Is I guess the direct way to ask that question would be: is there a negative experience that has impacted you, and that sometimes you have to sit and be like, "All right, dang, this is triggering me," or "Dang, let me make sure I express to my wife or my friends, hey, this is a
Ooh,
thing."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That dang, like sometimes this might, yeah.
And actually, I'm gonna be completely transparent with you. There's something that happened. There's a moment or something that happened within my childhood
Hmm.
that it made it so that growing up, I never asked for anything.
Okay.
So I never voiced my needs. You know what I mean? I never
Hmm.
voiced my needs. So like literally will go without with people that are more than willing to help.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know what I mean? More than willing to help because I even like people that I've helped that just want the opportunity to help me. I won't allow them to help me
Hmm.
because I'd rather just deal with it myself and just bury
Hmm.
myself. You know what I mean? And so like even in relationships, that is also a thing that I or a character trait that I have that is something that I'm still and even like I said, even in therapy, still trying to figure out exactly what it was.
Hmm.
Because it goes back so far. And that's why I actually had the you know what I mean, the idea of like you have to first be able to understand exactly what it is because that's the hard at least for me, that's the hard
Oh no,
part
I agree. I
to
think that.
identify. That's the hard part. But like, yeah, it's something that happened. Because I remember back in the day, we were living off of Bradford, um, and my mom had brought in like I don't know what her title was, but like a therapist, family counselor, something like that, therapist
Hmm.
lady. And she came in, and while she wasn't talking to me, I was fine. But when she started talking to me, I went and got under the table. She
Mm.
started asking me questions. I don't want to tell you how I feel. You know what I mean? So that was like that's like real. It's something that's been carrying through my life and still that I'm trying to figure out where did this come from.
And work through, yeah.
No, it's deep. Um, I answer it. I think, and you actually just, I had my answer in my head this whole time until you, to that last part of what
Oh
you
my
just
bad.
said, and then now I want to go and change, like but I'll stick with like my original answer about like what's something negative that impacted me. I'd probably say trying to stay in a toxic relationship longer than I should have, and dealing with the hurt that come with trying to salvage something
So
that was.
how what is the thing that happened that you seen manifest itself? Like, so you stayed longer, which means that I don't know, that made you short tempered or made you not want to
What
be in a relationship, or
what
like
it made me not as willing to deal with like red flags and stuff.
not
So
as,
so
oh, okay.
so the fact that I stuck it out with like, and that don't matter because we love each other, and
Mm.
it,
Okay.
it it'll work out. So now when I see stuff like that,
You kind of
and
get up out of there quick.
and like I say, I'm trying to work. Like I said, I'm trying to work. But yes, I'm a guy that I'll bail before getting bailed on because I've
Mm.
I've stayed in that situation longer than I should have before and
Yeah.
got bailed on. So now I'm always wanting to
And I was gonna ask you that.
do
Like,
the
did you
bailing.
leave or did she leave? And
Yeah,
you
she,
just pretty much,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I was just
Oh,
always wanting it to just hold
Mm-hmm.
on, hold on, hold
mm-hmm,
on, hold
mm-hmm,
on, and then still end up getting burnt
That is impactful for sure.
to where
mm-hmm.
now I'm just like, fuck it, I'll just
There's a
let
big
go.
difference between leaving a relationship and
Oh yeah, for sure.
someone else leaving
It's
the
a power
relationship.
dynamic.
Yep, yep,
It's
yep,
a
yep.
power dynamic, and like I realized in that moment that I just gave all the power away,
Mm.
Mm.
I can't
and
even
I
fuck.
never wanted to like give that power
Okay,
to you
Anyone
I
know
else?
respect it.
anybody else. So I'm always the guy. I'll leave or I'll cut something off. I'll self sabotage some shit if I feel like it's might lead something later on, just so I don't have to. So in the end, when I look back on it, it was me,
Mm.
and I don't have to feel no way about you or
I
her or
can't even
whatever.
Mm.
fraud you like no book no book. Like I think that every girl pretty much. I don't believe I've ever broken up with a girl in my life, but I done sabotaged it. But and that's why I
But
was,
that's a little different though.
yeah, no, but
Like
I was,
if you get to tap out in comparison to like actually wanting to be in a relationship and then it
Like
happens.
holding on and trying to make
mm-hmm,
it work.
mm-hmm. But go ahead, my bad. I just lost what I was finna
So
because there
yeah,
was
I
something
mean,
My
else you
bad.
said.
so no, that's something that like, and it's something I've been, I've realized it happened a long time ago, and I've been trying to work past. It's something I wanted, but that's definitely something over like my late 20s and stuff. That's, what kind of controlled the way I operated within relationships. Going back even further to what you said about like childhood and what like even like to maybe what might have been some of the stuff that triggered that was like even me like, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but I always had a feeling of a child not being listened to
Mm,
and me
Mm.
saying stuff and nah, and then
mm-hmm.
not being, and then whatever I said happening, and then motherfuckers still, oh well, you just got lucky that,
Yeah,
and so I
yeah, yeah.
always had this thing about like I always like to
Mm.
be, you know, even if I'm right, wrong, and different, just hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just
Mm.
move forward out, and that's something that triggers me. Like if I feel like motherfuckers just doing something without even considering
Mm-hmm.
my shit, it's just like I'll shut down. I'll withdraw. I'll just and just
Yeah,
be be within like my own self because it's like you don't even fuck with me. Like how can you like be right there but you won't even listen to me?
it's a level of being appreciated.
Yeah, so that's something for
If you
me.
appreciate me,
That's
you'll
that's a
listen.
real big thing. It's like especially if you want if you gonna talk to me, or you want me to listen to you, you gotta be willing to listen to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that's always real big with me too. And it comes from I don't know exactly what, but
Mm-hmm.
I remember that like feeling. I just always remember that feeling of just wanting to be heard.
Yeah,
Just fucking hear me. Just wanting to be heard. So that's another thing from like that I have to go and unpack and
yeah.
why.
Mm-hmm.
And
For sure.
I've worked on it and stuff. But that's something that's always been there for me.
Positive.
Positive relationships. I'll say kind of the same. Well, not the same, but it's being with a person that don't judge that don't judge you. Where you can be yourself completely.
Mm.
You
Okay, and
know,
they've helped you kind of like unpack that part of yourself.
yeah, and just being able to be like yourself, and no, and just not even that, but just knowing that that's out there,
Mm.
and just knowing that there are people out there that can really truly fuck with you without without judgment, with like that unconditional type of
Mm.
shit. That is out there, and that's something that I still believe, to this day. I know there's people that, the connection is right. You can find people that'll still, fuck with you. And that's just what I believe, bro. You can look at me side
I
eye.
was going to say that unconditional now.
You just look at
Yeah, but go ahead, go ahead.
this what
I ain't try to put no.
this what I believe,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, 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 yeah.
These are just my beliefs.
Respect.
My beliefs. And another positive, I want to take it deeper from like childhood and stuff to where I feel like I've always been allowed space to be myself. Even if I ain't necessarily get listened to, I was always allowed space
Mm.
to make my own decisions, bump my head. Or just even from like my parents. I mean, there's some times I felt like they was, overbearing and stuff, but there was a lot looking back, there was a lot of times where they allowed me to do me, no matter how weird or unconventional or no matter what everybody else was doing, they always allowed me to be me. And even at times where I struggled with, wanting to fit in and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to stand, they would still, encourage, hey, you're you, you ain't got to be like them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so then that's something that even to this day, I'm kind of comfortable, zigging when everybody else zag if I feel like zig is the
Yeah.
right way. If I feel it in my soul and my consciousness, it ain't really too much you gonna say to sway me, for the most part. For the most part.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having like that on the shirt. I don't mind zigging if you zag.
But yeah, no, that's yeah. I've always been like myself.
Yes.
No, that's dope.
Always
That's
kind of.
dope. Q. Because I wanted to actually ask you this. When you asked the question initially,
Okay.
I literally wanted to ask you the question that you ended up asking us. I'm talking about as soon as you got the question off, I was wanting to see what would be like an actual scenario. You know what I mean? Pretty much the same question that you lent to us. I'm looking forward to hearing your answer.
I think all right. So negatives. If I say negatives, I probably say a negative that has definitely impacted me over years. Would be what I like describe as like the Mauricio situation.
You
With
said the
me,
who?
the Mauricio situation.
Maury. Okay.
Um,
Oh shit,
and
yeah.
like
That was one I was thinking of
definitely
too, but go ahead.
that definitely impacted my trust with women that I had to like
Mm-hmm.
with time and space and understand. It took me a while to kind of like understand. Man, you are like you don't even be liking like being in like committed relationships and different things like that. Where does that kind of stem from? What is it kind of like? What is something that has impacted that?
Mm.
And like that part, once you like that trust has been broken, um at like that level,
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that like that has had a lot of like impact as it pertains to like just just my dating life. I think that if anything, that probably would be like one of the ones that I had to kind of like let kind of like rinse off me a little bit. That I could imagine. I don't know. I wouldn't. I don't believe that I have like a heavy distrust of women right now, but it's definitely something that I've talked about, written about, and thought through at multiple different things. I'm also like an avid person of which um, I think every relationship is its own microscope and it exposes different pieces of you.
Mm-hmm.
And what I like to say is that the things that I tend to be bad at in the my
Previous
previous
relationship.
relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and once you're like at that part when everybody just telling each other about like how they really feel about it, I actually do like take a lot of that in, and because there's no reason for you like really like I'm not a person that think that people just be saying shit. Usually it's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
from something. So I'll take some of that and then I will make sure I'm intentionally applying that inside my next relationship, um, and at least to as best as I can. So
Mm-hmm.
like I've had relationships where I did horrible at communication. Then the next one I over communicated and then I'm trying to like figure out like what that balance actually looks like and different things like that. All right, so I guess if I go positive, um, I think that a positive, I guess across my like in my life, I think that there was definitely a positive that I think has impacted me across the board. I think being a rapper, being an artist, it took me through like a bunch of different levels of expression
Mm.
that I hadn't like worked on doing prior, and it gave me a certain level of consciousness like in the moment that I hadn't really had prior, I don't think. Where like one, I would say that as an artist, I had to actually like sit with my thoughts and think through my thoughts and analyze things with my own perspective. And that was something that I wasn't as intentional about younger at all.
Most of us aren't.
And
Mm-hmm.
like I was kind of like going through the motions, but I think time slowed down a little bit for me as soon as I started doing that. And I started like really taking time to like observe and then like come out, spout out my own opinion of what I'm seeing. I think that my confidence in articulating myself in front of people grew
Definitely.
tremendously as well.
Yes, yes.
Where like before, like I'd be like, "Yeah, you right," or like you know what I mean, like it was like different little go to phrases and shit. But I wasn't like going to unpack like this full frame thing, and as being an artist and then having to get comfortable exposing yourself and even like you looking crazy. Like the first few times you perform, you're gonna look crazy anyway.
Yeah.
And like having to deal with that.
I was like that the whole
You know what I
time.
mean? Again, like just exposing yourself has led me to where like I am extreme like I don't really get too nervous and when it comes down to like talking in front of people or expressing the idea that I have or anything like that. And I think that those things kind of root from like that specific space.
And that's actually crazy because I've never given music and performing like the credit for something like that. I think that even like with the scenario that we're in now, that has literally like you know what I mean. The I won't even say the confidence that first off the willingness. You know what I mean. The willingness to even get in front of the camera.
Yeah.
For me, came from music. You know what I mean. The willingness to even speak like a lot, like you said, you got it. You know what I mean. You right. That was something that we when we was in school. That was a lot of you right.
Yeah,
You know what I mean.
we just kind of like.
I remember that got me slapped by Mom Dukes one time.
Yeah, Mom Dukes
she was
like
hot,
that
and I was
shit,
you
bro.
right, you right. I kept saying it.
I tried to pull that shit with Mom Dukes one time, bro. Yeah,
Mhm.
you right. All right, yeah, you
right,
right.
right.
You right.
Yeah, you right, doggy nuts.
Boy, yeah.
Doggy nuts. You ain't, I know you ain't called me saying.
Oh
doggy
no,
nuts.
we ain't
Oh
going
yeah,
that
that
far.
I was
shit
about to
crazy,
say.
bro. Doggy nuts is
No,
wild.
that was something that.
Yeah.
No, we had a time. The doggy nuts. Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
What up, doggy nuts?
But yeah, nonetheless, I guess I put a bow on like the conversation for me. Just kind of coming down to as egregious as it sounds, it actually is some really important validity in that in that comment and conversation around who hurt you. More times than not, it's thrown as this insult, but there's actually a lot to unpack because typically there is a lot to a person's behavior, especially if it sits at a extreme based off of traumas that they have went through. And I don't know. That's my tap out button.
Hey, bro, you flipped that who hurt you amazingly.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I
like
gotta
I've-
give you that on cam because like I've heard that who hurt you. I've heard the way that it's used and the way that you. Hey, my guy, respect.
You should have stayed out there at soul food.
Oh no. I had
We dove
Hey,
into
listen,
it.
I told Real List, nah, I don't need to go to the parks. We gotta take Jeremy to the parks. He got to get comfortable with like she love the kids. Jeremy just be like, hey,
no.
you too close to my daughter,
No, I
dog.
don't be doing all that now. I don't be
Bro
doing all
wasn't
that.
listening to the
I just pay
conversation
attention.
at
I
all.
wasn't
Bro-
listening to the
bro was
conversation.
standing up.
Joe,
I
Real
used to have-
was outside the perimeter we was in.
Like,
It's all
hey,
right, bro.
Yeah, nah. I feel like and it's funny because I got a homie too that like he go to the events and then he end up being the one watching the kids. You know what I mean? And I feel like that'll end up being me. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be the guy that'll end up watching the kids off
I
the
think it's
strip.
a comfort zone thing.
Yeah, no, but I still be wanting to know what. And I actually like seeing her interact. A lot of the time, that's what I be doing, watching her interact. Like literally just seeing because she doesn't get a lot of that. You know what I mean? Peer to peer interaction. So seeing how it's coming along, I like even seeing that. So I just like paying attention to her. So don't. It's not all bad.
I
Trying to-
just- I
Well, no,
definitely-
I don't think that any of
It
it is
ain't bad at
specifically
all, but I
bad
just
at
noticed.
all. Yeah, but I think that your anxiety level will kind of come down the more you're exposed to that scenario and situation.
Yeah.
And you like so once you understand how she's interacting, how she's playing, like her as her autonomous self when there's not like specific eyes on her, X, Y, and Z. Because yes, it is also really amazing to watch from afar. Like, oh, look at this little human.
Yeah.
This is a little piece of me, and seeing how that is expressed across their peers.
And the thing is that, and now we ain't gonna go too far on this. The thing is that that is literally the only time where I can see how she'll act when I'm not around. So I like to pay attention to it.
That's why I said we gotta get you out to the park more. That's it.
Yeah. Now I'm with it. You know what I mean? As soon as I came up with the
She
idea, I
was
was
out there
with it.
flexing on him.
Bro, you know that. Oh, you talking about that?
Yeah.
She
Bit watch energy. We putting a pin in it, Johnny.
I think that'll be a great place to put a pin in it.
All right. What we going to next?
We'll get back into it. I think the next topic, I don't know where y'all want to go. We want to hit rail or...
Okay, yeah, I don't mind. So my question was, you know what I mean, pretty much, you know, we've heard multiple times. Well, I've heard. I can't say we've. I've heard multiple times where like there are certain things like a woman say that she's not gonna do. You know what I mean, namely the first one that you generally hear all the time is like, I ain't taking out the trash. You know what I mean, and then I can only imagine, especially with my yard. My yard, you know what I mean? My wife said I ain't cutting the grass, which I ain't never even thought of thinking that she would cut the grass. You know what I mean? But as I'm sitting there thinking about that, the first thing I came up was like, okay, with you know, we talk a lot about like modern relationships, and I think that this is still a gender role that has still kind of made its way into modern relationships. So I was thinking, so what would be, let's say, one or two things that if those two things that aren't going to be done by her, what is something that you would say that you aren't going to do, or that you feel that she would say that you don't have to do based on the fact that you don't, or that she doesn't have to do these two things.
I don't know. Like I ain't gonna like to me being raised by and they ain't really nothing domestic I'm not capable like or can't do. So like I don't necessarily like I don't know like I wouldn't like cause I do my laundry and vacuum like I do all of that stuff
Yeah, but
now.
it's not about not being able to.
But so but you're saying what would I like choose like something that I
Yeah, what would
already
be
know
those
how to
things
do
like, yeah, because
like and
it's
give up because I don't. This might be a little but I don't think most women and some women do. 'Cause I've seen it, but if a woman's single, she's probably still not cutting her grass.
right.
A man, I'm single. I'm washing clothes. I'm still doing like all
Mm-hmm.
the. I'm handling all of that. Like 'cause, like I'm not gonna pay somebody to come in. You can pay somebody to come and cut your grass.
Mm-hmm.
Not gonna pay nobody to come and wash your clothes or do. So I don't think there's nothing that I wouldn't or there's nothing that I don't. The right now that I don't have like I can do just about anything. I mean, there's certain things that she would do for me, and I don't have to do. Cool, but I can. I don't know. I don't have two that I just
That you
not
just
gonna.
won't do.
Or a
Yeah,
one.
huh? Nah, that just I just won't do like a thing around the house. I mean, I got some personal boundaries. I'm not gonna, but like just doing stuff around the house, I can do damn near anything around the house.
He talking about butthole stuff, y'all. That's what he talking about. That's what he was talking about.
It's a personal boundary. Talk about blood.
Yeah, hey, I feel you.
got personal boundaries,
Yeah, I feel you.
but yeah, like around the house, I was washing
Gooch is
clothes.
cool. No butthole. I like it. I
I
agree.
like it. This nigga
I agree.
stupid.
But I guess for me, to me, I think most of these things are probably like closer on the spectrum. So I know for me, I think that on the spectrum of things, um, when it comes down to a relationship, my preference is that like I'm not going to be leading inside specific spaces. So like cooking, I'm not going to lead in cooking. I'm not going to probably lead in like the idea of quote unquote like cleanliness, even though like these are things that I participate in.
Mm-hmm.
But my preference would be like those things I wouldn't want to be the leader of. So like in general, like I probably wouldn't like date, especially long term, a woman that doesn't cook at all or can't cook,
Mm-hmm.
because of like that is something that I am not strong in, and I believe in balance in a relationship. So like, even if I gotta learn or get better at this thing, I would want somebody that has a strength in my weakness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Same thing. Even though I don't think that like I'm a terribly like cluttered person, I don't like I try and keep shit clean in general.
You heard that.
What?
I heard that. I heard.
Oh, you agree? All right, right, all right.
Okay.
Oh, right. There we
Oh, I
go.
thought I heard something different.
Yeah, that's how she sound like a
Say it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why like our transition was really easy. Is that like I kind of keep shit at the baseline cleanliness, and like a woman's cleanliness, like a good woman's cleanliness, is gonna be a different level.
Above,
But
yeah.
like you know what I mean? Like I just would prefer you to lead in that part.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's about it. I still like. It's not something that I'm not going to do though.
Right, right.
But my preference is that I don't want to be the leader in that.
Leading.
So that'd be my answer.
Yeah, no, and you know the which I kind of developed this or this question just to kind of prove my point of, well, not prove my point. It's just I felt that at the end of the day, the idea of this the there's nothing that like a man doesn't, well, or a decent man doesn't contribute in. Even though you say you don't want to lead, there's still a contribution that you have within said thing, regardless. But with women, there are certain things that we'll say, like, we don't believe in the gender roles and these different things. But at the end of the day, we do.
You
But
said
it's
women adhere more to specific gender roles than men do. Is that what you're saying?
what I'm saying is that
Yeah, I guess that's kind of what that would be that he's leading to.
pretty much is that while there's things that a woman won't do. So it's just the idea of like this whole equality and equitable.
There's not that many things that a man's not willing to do.
Exactly. Whereas there's literally things that I'm not gonna do this and I'm not gonna do this, and it's like, okay, that's fine. We just accept it.
I would say some women cut grass. Very, very small
No, what I would say is like
But
no
I don't know, it's
BS.
just
Like
so
in my
that's
in my
fairly
neighborhood,
minute though. Like if we're just,
it is very
if the
minor.
only two things that we can actually point out is like grass and trash.
Well, I mean, at the end of
I
the day,
don't-
it also depends on.
It's like that's so small in the scope of like everything.
Yeah, but what I would say is that it also depends on the level in which how much yard you have, and how many people are in the house contributing to the trash. Because you could in a household take out the trash twice a day.
That's a difference.
You know what I mean? In the household, take out trash twice a day, and then take it out to the dumpster, and then take it out to the street. I'm not trying to
I
like make
wonder
these
like what
seem
is the
like some
percentile of
crazy.
that household? That seems like a lot.
What I'll
But
say,
I also say is that like if I just look at my neighbors over here,
Mhm.
like matter of fact, I say like 50% of the people inside this neighborhood,
Mhm.
they just had a landscaper come do it.
yeah, no, and
Like that's
oh,
actually
and then
like
I'm
a
glad
real
that you
fact.
actually said
Like
that.
nobody's even doing it. It's not even a role that's being filled.
Yeah, and I would say this also. I mean,
And
you
then
live in an
apartment
area.
living niggas just putting the trash outside the door.
Yeah, and you
They come and scoop that bitch.
Yep.
That's the
okay. I
best
mean,
shit they
and,
ever
and
came
that
up
is
with,
true
that
in a
bad
lot of
trash.
scenarios.
Mhm.
That is true in a lot of scenarios. But and this is, well, I guess, hell, I'm gonna bring this up. My bad. I ain't trying to push the topic further back. But him just said that point that he's making, where it's, and I, like I said, I asked women like, do you care whether a man like puts the brakes on or gets the brakes put on, or changes the oil or gets them changed? You know what I mean? And they really don't care about
They
it.
care
So
about results.
right. So my observation was like, I was trying to think like if there's a man, and they are saying like how much money a man should earn and all this stuff. So I was saying like maybe guys should learn these traits, because we already saying that the average man average man black man earns less than his wife or his old lady. So I was thinking like, okay, well maybe niggas should try to pick up some of these skills,
What skills?
like being able to change the oil, to be able to change the brakes. Not only are you saving money, I feel like that should contribute, that should put that should add to your income. The fact that the money is being saved. Because I mean, you go
I
up
mean,
there.
an oil change like $90 every 3 months though. It's not
Shit.
a lot.
Well, I mean, it depends on what kind of car you got too. But
I say 90's kind of high, but
shit, my oil changed more than that.
well, you got a big truck. Yeah, but
And the
yours
car.
is free. Yeah.
Free that, but that's because you got that maintenance plan though. Everybody.
No, I got it from the dealership, and
The
no,
maintenance
I
plan.
automatically got. I don't know if I paid for maintenance plan. But I mean, my car's paid off, and they still change my oil for free. I'm not paying anything.
What
Goodness
dealership?
gracious, the car's paid.
When I first got my car, I had got it from Priority Honda, and my homeboy had actually sold me my car. And with everything, they was like, long as you like keep up the maintenance on your vehicle, if anything goes wrong with your engine, they'll cover it for free. So like, I just take it back to get my oil change. My oil changes are free, and my tire rotation is like $30. So anything I need done, take it to a dealership, and they get it done.
That's crazy. They're gonna charge for the
There has to be
rotation,
that's
but
a
not the oil
maintenance-
change. Like
that's a
rotating
maintenance
tires.
plan that was included. Like there's some kind of maintenance. That shit, they're not doing it for free.
Well, look, car's paid off.
You either
And then it
pay
also
for it.
depends on
You
what
either
time
pay
too.
for it up front. You either pay for it on the front end or the back end.
Huh?
Yeah, but then
I
that was
imagine
a
the
period
maintenance
of
plan
time.
can last longer than the duration of
Yeah,
you
they
paying.
said lifetime.
Yeah, you can get a 10-year
Yeah.
like maintenance plan. Like they got maintenance.
No,
plans.
she said it's lifetime. See, but there also depends on what time you were when you were buying your car too, because there was time periods where that's just like with the what them Hyundais, them bitches or the Kias, there was buy one get one.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
There
That
was
was
buy
era.
one get one. So like it depends on when
It
you
depends.
actually got the
What is
vehicle
different
too.
maintenance plans? They're probably giving that lifetime, especially like I don't know when you bought your car,
Let's
but
not do a deep dive on like maintenance
Yeah.
plans.
Yeah, that wasn't even about. I wasn't trying to go there, but I was thinking, like I said,
No, we about to go there.
yeah, we
I
was going.
definitely was. Yeah, let's
We
just
was going.
rewind it. Damn, I was definitely about to get in the
That
bag.
nigga Johnny was for to sell a goddamn car, bro.
I seen it coming.
So we'll revisit the topic after the
Yeah.
pod.
Yeah,
Yeah,
y'all
but I
gotta
did find it.
y'all gotta hit the Patreon for a deep dive on maintenance plans and how to buy a car. We'll get that to y'all.
I like that.
We'll
Yeah.
get back.
No, I just found it, you know what I mean, interesting that, you know what I mean, that there were things that like people would say, and then I will say too, it could be a cultural thing too, because like, you know, I live where I live at, we have a lot of Hispanics around. They be out there cutting the grass, bro.
The women.
Yes. Pushing the lawnmower, not a rider, pushing them yards. Literally crazy, like, and that's what made me actually come up with it. I was like, dang.
But that's because I mean, in their culture, they're all about teamwork though. Like, they don't have like gender role. Like they have, it needs to be done. Let's get it done.
And bro out there making that bread too.
It don't matter. Like, and bro probably don't come home and feel no type of way that his woman cut the grass. Neither. Like he probably not insecure. Like if I was working and my woman came home and cut the grass, I'd probably be mad. Like he was outside cutting. Like this is how I was raised. Where I mean, I'd be like, damn, you was out cutting the guy. Like the neighbors saw you cutting the grass and know I live here.
Yeah,
and like that's just how my mind worked. They just gotta get it done mindset. And guess what? They grass probably stay cut. They they be on top of they shit because it's no egos, it's no like roles. It needed to be. It's like in basketball how you can have like positionless basketball.
Yeah.
Well, I got
Think
a
about a
question for
team
you.
that's positionless and everybody can do everything, and how dangerous that team get versus a team that's got traditional roles. There's only this one guy can bring the ball up, and only this one guy can play in the post.
This one guy's the point guard, and that makes and
how limited you are as a team versus when you get five guys that can play all five positions.
Yeah, no.
How dangerous, and that's what with Hispanics. That's what you see. They just got that
making that
positionless basketball. Like they just getting it done. It needed to be done. The lawnmower's right there. It had gas in it. Fuck it. I cut that shit. Dude probably go home and cook.
It threw me off when I
see
seen
it. The guys
like,
probably come home and do stuff that we consider more of a job for the woman. The guys probably come home and take care of the babysitting and shit like that.
Thanks, Johnny, for those nuggets. Ro, I got a question for you.
My bad.
Being that you are raising a daughter, how would you feel about your daughter cutting the grass when there's a man that's in the house with her?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. And I mean, it goes into what Johnny's saying. You know what I mean? But then also, how when I say like, how would I feel about my? Well, I mean,
what if she wanted to cut the grass? What if she said it needed to be done? So I felt like doing it.
If she like cutting grass, are you sure? Yeah, I mean, but if you like doing it, you can.
What if she said, "Yeah, pops, it's no problem for me."
Hey, have at it. Have at it.
Hey,
Yeah,
I just want to chime in on what Johnny was saying a second ago, because like what I'm kind of gathering from this conversation is that, and I'm not just gonna put this on the women. I think this is like across the board. Like us as a culture are kind of like lazy. I would say we done kind of got spoiled to some degree.
You got to kind of like break down.
So basically what he was just saying was, he was saying like how the Mexicans, they see everything as, hey, this just needs to be done, so it don't matter who do it, we gonna get it done. Like whereas us, we have a lot on both sides of I'm not doing this or I'm not doing that. Like
well, that's not my job.
Yeah, or it's not my job. Like I'm not gonna do that.
I'm not doing that because XYZ. Yeah. No.
And I'm guilty of this myself. So like that's what I'm just seeing what y'all think about that.
I could be that guy and answer it. Like I think that
He said,
Go ahead. Figure out what guy that is.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
I think that more times than not, when that scenario does present itself, not specific inside just like the cutting grass part, but in general, as we unpack it more, It is the fact that more times than not, black people are trying to fit into a white stereotype that only like a 10% white people could even achieve themselves throughout history,
Bar.
especially of like inside 19 like the past 120 years. And that ends up being the exact thing. That'd be my answer.
Oh, that's
Where
I
in
like that
reality,
guy.
like it typically probably would be better if we did the thing. Like we all humbled ourselves and worked as a team. Um,
Facts.
yeah,
Like facts. Like
Yeah.
like just and like I say, a lot of time we harp on it because we're talking about it in the lens of what women said, but there's a lot of things guys could do better too. Like so,
Absolutely.
I don't want it to just be one side. I don't want nobody to take it as just like a
Oh
one
no,
sided
and see, and
thing too. Like this is just a fair conversation on both sides.
yes, and
We
see
all
this,
could humble ourselves,
and
like
that's why
Quint
I
said,
think it's another thing where
or
it's like I
Q
think
said.
that men, especially men that aren't let's say middle class, like the average earning guy. I think that it's smart or it is good for you to try to start learning some of these additional skills. I think that it's smart to do it. Like what you should be willing and able to cut the grass. You should be willing and able to change oil. Like you're literally saving, which my oil changes were gonna be like 145, 150. You know what I mean? You save $150 or you save $100 by sitting there. Fucking a oil change takes the most time you gonna take is letting the oil drain out.
I'm saying yes,
but
but
I,
Like
but I
brakes and
also
things
think that
when you're it adds
it is
to that value that you
going to
present.
yeah, but I think that like to expand the conversation more because that's still like sticking within the traditional tropes. I think that you should be willing and able to clean. You should be willing and able to cook. You should be willing and
Yeah.
able to I don't fucking know, fold clothes or something like that.
go on the
I think that
traditional.
in general we all should probably be willing and able because that's the part of like the teamwork where if we're looking at the Hispanic lady that is pushing that lawnmower, she's overstepping like her traditional gender role of what she's doing. And there's no resentment that sits there with it, in which like I think that probably ends up being like our issue, especially if we're talking about men. If we only want to just like let's double down, triple down on only the masculine things, probably to make it all work is a certain level of teamwork. Like the woman has
Yes, and
has
it's
has tapped into like, all right, I am like throwing out a couple dollars. So like as a guy, you might end up having to like join the team of like, let me make sure that something that she used to do, she might not have to do as much
Or
of as
join the
well.
team as far as just having emotional intelligence and being like, "Hey, look,
Yeah,
Shorty, I know you've been working hard because this is teamwork, and you know what? Let me cook, let me take
tonight. Yeah,
care of the
yeah.
kids, and you relax because you just cut the grass. Like if your lady cut the grass, you might have to go and cook and clean because that's cutting the grass tough. Like I cut the grass, I'm tired. Like so, like if she cut the grass, I can only imagine. Like she gonna be tired. So,
hey,
But
well, I'm gonna
my
just say
thing is
this.
like
I'm gonna
we
just
could
say
actually
this.
take it away from cut the grass. I think that like
but it's
that's
just an
easy.
example.
No, I get it. It's easy to like dismiss the validity of what you said when you say cut the grass. But if you just say like she went and worked 40 hours this week,
She's
which is
tired.
like that's over like half, over like 70% of everybody's just doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and like she might not feel like cooking that meal, but like niggas got to eat still.
Niggas gotta
Like you
eat.
might have to go pay for that meal, or you could cook some
You
shit
can cook
or
if you
figure
really
some
want
shit
to
out.
save the money. Cook it.
But I think that that's fair in itself. Where like you're now overstepping into a role that might not be traditionally that. In the same way that a woman is overstepping inside like a provisional role, like if she's working and some of that money's coming into the household, that night might not have always been there inside that capacity. In which like now we're talking about real teamwork and real humbleness of like us as people, to where like we are doing more for ourselves as a family than just like what we're comfortable with.
Yeah, you know the funny thing is like I guess it may not be funny. I know you ready about rap, but I think that the idea of us trying to run away from which was the thing. This was the initial like, okay, so do we believe in gender roles or not, right? And so
Not. I mean, I
and it
don't
says
think
that like
so.
What if it's
sometimes.
not black and white?
But hold on, no, listen, let me just finish. So
Okay.
what I was thinking is that's when I thought of the question, it's like okay, so maybe we do believe in gender roles in certain aspects and don't believe in gender roles in other aspects. Okay, so in that, what I feel like a big, in my opinion, and this is, I mean, I'm really not interested in like so much of the way that the people talk about relationships these days. I'm not really so interested in it. I think they're making it way more, just adding additional words and things that like it just kind of muddy up the biggest to me. The biggest thing is that we're different. Men and women are different. That's just literally. I think that the more that we embrace the fact that we're different and embrace those differences, that we'll. And this is just my opinion, we'll be able to get along with each other much better. Like the way that you communicate ain't the way that I communicate, and it's not necessarily that I'm just being an asshole. And maybe I just talk straightforward, and I think men generally talk more in straight lines. So, and you, what you want them to do is you try to figure out a way, or maybe women, you know what I mean? It's just ways that we differ in ways that I think that we should be more willing to accept these things versus trying to make the other person more like me. You know what I mean? And it's okay to me. So like I'm not in a disagreement with the fact that if she's working 40 hours and then she come home and she's cooking and she's clean, like bro, you're literally getting off. If she's doing all the cooking and the cleaning and then working 40 hours and then like what are you doing when you get off? What are you doing? You getting off. You know what I mean? The same thing is like if she's not working and you're working and she's sitting at the house and not cooking and cleaning, but she's getting off. Like, you know what I mean? So like in my opinion, I just think that like this is just my complete belief on the whole thing. I think that is we should embrace the differences and learn how to appreciate the differences rather than
What are the differences that you're speaking on specifically outside of like? Well, I don't really agree that men and women communicate differently. I think this goes back to last week where I think people just communicate differently because I just know too many niggas that don't speak in straight lines to be like that's a male trait. I just don't. And then I know like some really blunt women that even as soon as they walk into the door, they just gonna call out the first thing that they see about you, and that just be what it is. But
here's what I got. Here's what.
But I wanted him to answer that. Like, what are the specific differences that you were talking about? Because I think that'd be more important to kind of like understand.
Well, I mean the nurturing, the nurturer versus the what do they call us? Where we're the women are more nurturing, we're more
Providers.
You ain't got nothing. You ain't got no words you can think of.
Nigga,
all right, so
nature. I don't know.
Nature. No. I got what you said. What I'm saying, they say women are more naturally more nurturing, and men are more.
Are you talking about like the logical thing? Is that what you're going with?
Whatever word I'm trying to figure out what you come up with. I don't know what that means.
Specifically
I don't remember exactly what
that term. Either.
Okay, well you
when
said
people say that, but I think.
Think that,
I'm trying to understand what you specifically.
Okay, so what I'm talking about specifically.
But I think women are naturally more nurturing, though. So I can agree with that.
At the end of the day, pretty much just the idea of accepting that. So like if she feels if a woman, to me, I think that a lot of women. Well, either way, I think the difference is like to me, I'm a hands-on kind of dude. Like I don't mind like tearing this wall out to make an open concept to try and you know what I mean. Like that is more of like the things that I'm interested in. I think that this is more like the natural men moving things with them with their hands and building these like you know what I mean and changing oil and those things. I feel like those for me those naturally make me. I actually fuck with them. Like with Tone, I watch Tone go out there and change wheel hubs and all kinds of shit. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that a lot of people, the average person doesn't have the finances to get all this stuff done for them. So you talk about like these people in your neighborhood. That is, you know what I mean, in your neighborhood, that is a thing. Like everybody can't afford to get these people to come out and cut the grass. Also, like the yards ain't like extensively large. Where now you're talking about an actual bill that's more than you know what I mean. You're looking at damn near over your water bill in expense just to get your grass cut. So what I'm saying is that I believe that men should. This whole idea of us trying to be more. I don't know what they're doing, but I'm just not interested. I think that I like the man's man.
Gotcha.
I think that the woman's woman, I appreciate the woman's woman as much as I appreciate being the man's man.
I got you. Are you rapping or because I do have something else I want to say.
And then we gonna rap after whatever he say.
Well, no, cause I got one.
Oh, you got something to get off too. Right.
Well, yeah, then I'll go to you. No, I got something. I got something. I wanted to rap, but I got something.
What up?
I want something. I want to get off too. I get what you're saying about like there's certain roles that should be played, and like you say, point guard need to bring the ball up, a center
Or
need to
just
get
appreciate them
on
like
the low
that
blow,
shouldn't
and a
be, but
fire center is a fire center, a fire point guard, fire point, and there is something to be said for being able to play your role well. There is something to be said. You should be appreciated in being able to play your role well. You shouldn't be, discounted. It's good to be able to play your role well.
LeBron should stop shooting threes.
It's point forward, whatever.
Go ahead.
But but w- there's also something to be said for being able to play different positions, and there's also
I'd agree.
players that are valued way higher
For
for
being
their
able to do it.
ability to play 1 through 5, guard 1 through 5, and
Absolutely.
So Johnny, you're speaking inside like basketball like terms right now. I think that this would be like perfect. We're gonna take it back regular in a second. I know you, but what's the difference between Jokic and Deontay Ayton?
Aiton don't bring the ball up. He don't pass. He'll make his teammates better.
Right,
He make his teammates worse.
He's become outdated inside the game, and Jokic gave the nigga buckets.
Probably.
I felt like
But they benched
the
no
nigga
better.
the nigga tapped out and
They
said, "Fuck it,
benched
my
no
ribs
better.
is hurting."
Yeah.
Right?
Ribs.
Is that not,
Ribs.
but that speaks to like the evolution of like as you said, in which to me, if I just look at like if we just talk about the marriage segment that we had here, and we just talked about how every single person, and this goes like past that as well, though. Every single person that I have seen and came in contact with, inside recent times specifically, like it is more so of like this back and forth of different things. Where like I done heard every single guy talk about how they cook, how they do this, how they do that, and the third.
Taking care of the kids, homework.
Yeah, like it's so many different like
Drop
versions
off
of different
to school,
roles that
PTA meetings, all that
every
shit.
single guy.
They would say it all that though.
What? No, well, like we sat with Jeff. Yes, me on what you call him. Like he's heavy on that. Like
Hard.
But my thing is
I
that
don't
like
really like. Go ahead.
no, but my thing is like it's actually harder to find the relationships where both people aren't doing a bunch of everything. Like I don't see the ones that's not like that. Like to me, to find like the pure traditional ones is like really really rare. It's a lot harder. I just don't know it.
Yeah, no, and see, and this is what like when we say, and I wasn't gonna respond, but when we say traditional, like at
like
the end of the day,
because you're doubling down. Like your whole thing has been doubling down on like men, but men need to make sure that you're X, Y, and Z instead of like, and it's the nature of man, and this is like what men are meant.
So,
and I just want to make sure I
I'm
understand because of what I see in public.
Yes. So there
a
are
higher
certain things.
percentage.
What I can see is that like the thing. Okay, so this is why I'll be completely transparent. What I've seen is that, or what I believe I've seen, is that men have definitely decided to take up more of what would have been considered the women's gender role things. We've definitely started to adopt more of these things, and I think that that's the reason why you could say like that we're more in with our, which honestly anything to do with kids. I don't consider kids like, bro, if you just saying like, oh, a woman should just take care of the kids and you should not be involved, nigga, that's just
So
you just. But hold on, let me finish.
go ahead.
And then I think that what I've seen is that what we'll do is like for men, I think that we'll take on a lot of these said responsibilities and because if we're still saying that like we're gonna both go to, well, I mean, if you ain't gonna do nothing, if everything that you're gonna do, if everything that you're gonna do like outside of like, if you're gonna pay for everything, like if you're gonna pay for, I guess if you both work, then you may be able to afford to pay for everything.
I don't know these niggas that exist on a large
What
scale.
I'm talking about, hold on, you ain't even let me finish.
know, I'm
You
just
talking
trying to
about nigga, you don't even know what paying for everything even means yet.
Well, hold on, wait a
I
minute.
do. What do you
I'm
mean?
talking-
Like
what
paying
I'm
for
saying
everything has a very
when I'm talking
specific
about paying for
definition.
everything, when I'm talking about like with vehicle maintenance, with repairs on your house, if you're gonna pay for everything in that regard, that's what I mean.
She should
Not
be working.
versus what I'm saying is that like, so if you have the ability to pay for everything, then that's one thing. But the average person doesn't have the average relationship. They don't have the ability to pay for everything. So there is a place where these roles do exist, where men are actually having to figure out how to put these brakes on, how to do these different things. This is literally a thing. I don't know, like everybody can't afford to go and don't got no maintenance free vehicles and shit. Like niggas are having to figure this shit out.
All right, so I just want to understand what you're saying. So you're
Mhm.
saying that most guys are changing their own oil.
Are changing their own
Yeah,
oil.
oil and
Oh no,
rotating
no,
their own
most
car.
guys aren't. But I think
Right,
that
but that's
most
what I'm saying.
guys
So then if
should
we
be.
talk about like
I
most
think that most guys
relationships,
should be.
But that has nothing to
but
do with
like it's not.
relationship roles.
But I guess what I'm saying, like it's like a literal thing that relationships are still happening,
Mm-hmm.
and most guys just aren't doing that inside the relationship, and it's still getting done. Like to where like I don't see where like
Hey,
the
well, I mean,
because but your argument is like going on the fact that guys are having to do this and people can't do this. And this is why I'm trying to understand it.
I don't get what you said. You said guys are having to do this and people can't do
When you're
this.
saying guys have the ability to change oil and like,
And
I
that
mean,
they should,
there's
and then
certain
that
things.
niggas are doing this, and like they're getting like that's what
Niggas
you
aren't
just,
changing oil.
right.
I said that
But
niggas
that's
should learn.
my whole argument is that you're basing this on something that doesn't like every relationship that I'm seeing right now, pretty much inside like a 95 percentile. Um, like I think maybe you are literally the only guy that I know that kind of like are closer to like the pure version of a traditional relationship.
Nigga, this is not
But,
pure version of a
all
traditional
right, cool,
relationship
but
at all.
all
I'm
right, so
saying,
like
but like,
no,
why
but
do you
hold on,
think
but like,
niggas should
but like,
Go
change
ahead.
their oil?
You said, say it again.
Why should niggas learn to change their oil?
Because it saves money for the family. Just like the same reason why a nigga should have an understanding of how plumbing works. Because if you have to call a plumber in, the shit's gonna cost a few grand to get this nigga to go in there and fix that. When it's actually simple.
But couldn't a woman learn how to change oil just as
She
easy?
could, but what we understand is that she's less likely to want to do that, even based on the fact that they don't feel the jobs like we do. So, like, she's less likely to want to do this. So, as the man, if these things are to come up, I should be able to handle these, whether I am financially making enough to give. If I got a savings to give this nigga $3,000 to go up under the crawl space and fix the plumbing, or if you see what I'm saying? Like, I think that there's a base level of that. And honestly, when I look at, like, I got an uncle, right?
But the fact that women are working now, they don't look at the value of you going and doing it.
And I think the
Isn't
reason
there
why,
as
typically,
much?
and honestly, I don't
as a
think they.
household be able to get it done.
I think that
As long
they
as
don't
we can
value
get
it
done,
because
just
most
really
of
don't
us
matter.
aren't able to do it, so they haven't lived with a guy that can actually go down and be like, okay, we want to go ahead.
I think most men don't do it because it's not valued, because it's just to get it done society. So you don't, like, my woman don't care if I know how to change oil as long as I can get the oil changed. She don't care if I got up under there and changed it. As long as the oil's getting changed. So it don't
Right.
really matter
So
how
that's
well
because
you
you
know
can-
how to do this
If
stuff.
you can
fellas.
It just
afford it,
matters
if you can afford it,
or
go ahead,
just
what's
get
up?
it done.
I'm kind of realizing something. I think we might have to reframe this question and come back to it. I think there's some things we all need to kind of like look at on that. Like it's like we're going around the conversation here. If you get what I'm saying, we're kind of
What you
going.
think?
in circles.
What's the
the
meat of
question?
it that you
What's
think
the question?
that we're missing?
Um, I kind of think basically, I don't know the question yet. That's what I'm saying. I think we're gonna have to reformulate this question and like maybe use it for game night because I would like to hear some women's opinion on it.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
think
I
that's
ain't
we
mad at it.
actually have a beautiful lady over there. Todd, do you have any input of what you've heard so far?
Taj's opinion is skewed because
Oh, Dan, you got the
you
skew
here.
today?
I feel
To
it
some
too.
degree.
I
I
agree.
mean,
I
think
agree.
because
But
you're
we-
here,
I wanna
it's
hear
kind
it,
of.
though. I
I
wanna
do want to
hear it,
hear.
Did he say
Skewed. Queued or skewed, same thing, same difference.
Q.
Go ahead,
Good
Miss
time.
Taj.
So what is the whole thing I heard so far about the specifics of changing the oil and all that? Is that when I'm coming? I just want
Well,
to
I
make
don't
sure.
know
I think
what
it kind of
I
I
like
think it has to
evolved
do
into a
with gender roles in
conversation.
general and how comfortable you are accepting, or people should be accepting gender roles outside of the traditional ones.
How important are gender roles? I feel like both sexes, or let me not say that because it's them and they. So let me be respectful of everyone. But both partners in a relationship, I feel like they cross. When you think about gender roles, you think about like what they said, like back in the day, or what our grandmothers, great grandmothers did, right? I feel like now today, those people are crossing those lines and doing multiple things, right? So, like for me, for example, growing up, my mom had a boyfriend who was a chef. He cooked us all the meals, and he worked on top of that. But he did majority of the cooking while my mom was with him because that was his thing, right? So when you think about stuff like that, I don't think it's a specific as to you should do this and I should do that, like across the board. I think what it comes down to is those two people and literally sitting down, figuring out what your goals are and the best way for both of y'all to get there. And
100%
however
agree.
that looks, whoever takes on whatever responsibility, it kind of is what it is. Like for me, growing up, I didn't see my mom doing one specific thing. Part of my life, my mom was a single mother. Part of the time, she had a boyfriend. Part of the time, she was married. But there wasn't like a you only do this and I only do that. My stepdad, he cooked, he cleaned. This man used to literally get down his hands and knees and clean the kitchen floor. Like he
Mm,
did these things, and it wasn't like a specific gender role.
mm.
So that's kind of how I feel about it based on what I saw growing up.
And the funny thing is that that's literally what we've heard from every single person that's came and sat on this couch, and every person that's inside our like general vicinity. But that's all.
I was about to say, my mom. I did have a mom who fixed stuff. Like my mom used to fix stuff, so I can't.
But
Like,
that even goes to the exact same point where
yeah,
like
that's part of why I got it.
everybody's like typically it's rare that we've seen the other, and that's why I said like it's ascribing to a white Caucasian elite perspective of what a family looks like. That for the
And you know
most
the funny
part,
thing, I ain't gonna say nothing about it.
like
Hey, he be
95%
like literally
of
trying to
things-
pull, he be pulling something back out of you like, nigga, I would have, but I ain't going
Hey,
there.
No, I mean, like you can tell me in like percentage wise, and this is why I've enjoyed the fact that this conversation has become so prevalent is because of now the insertion of actual statistics that are becoming relevant. I think that the conversation started inside 2020, in which everybody's had to kind of like go through the process of understanding it, but now as statistics are starting to get there, this is not. This is one of the big myths. This is almost like black on black crime. Shit, a myth.
And I want to add one more thing too. Growing up, my dad wasn't the type of guy to get under the car and fix it. He sent it somewhere to get it fixed. So for me, there's not much value in me like placing that onto a guy like I need you to fix my car when my dad, my brothers, my mom, you just send your car off to the mechanic, they fix it, you pick it up. So to me, that's
don't
not
shoot
a that's
back.
not a
Your
thing.
pops was fixing the
Don't
jump.
shoot back. Don't shoot back.
I ain't got nothing to say about it.
Hey,
no, I do got. I
my
do.
pops wasn't
I'm
like
gonna
that.
shoot
let-
back one thing. I'm just gonna say this one thing though.
Hey,
We
Hey,
we had a crackhead mechanic in the neighborhood.
hey, I will say this though.
Big facts.
I done walked in the store. I done walked in the store after working on a car, dirty as a mug.
Mm-hmm.
Women like that shit.
I can imagine that too.
oh yeah, them mechanics don't ever be hard up for.
Yeah.
The ones I know at the
You said they don't
job.
be hard
He
up
like,
on women?
oh, he
Nah, they
fixed
don't
shit.
ever be hard up.
That's a thing.
They be getting good women.
Bro,
Hey,
don't, hey, we gonna let it rock. Bro, I don't mind.
That's
we
a
can
thing.
visit this over and over.
You
Listen,
know, but
again,
hey,
if
but
we're
hey,
saying
but
that,
hey,
like,
but hey,
women
let it
are
go.
choosing
Hey,
the mechanics,
hey,
beat
I
it.
think that's
Yeah,
good.
host.
I think,
I like that.
I appreciate y'all for coming out. This was a June 3rd game night. Y'all gotta check us out. We
Live streaming, maybe.
live
It might be a
streaming
possibility.
June 3rd. There's a couple
Anything,
Saturdays from now. I think we should do. I think we done beat that one up pretty good.
Motherfucker
A-Town
ain't dead
stomped
yet,
on it.
though.
It ain't dead
He ain't
yet.
dead
But
yet.
we ain't gonna let them get up today though.
Yeah, no,
We ain't gonna let
he
them
gonna
get
some
up
rest.
today. It was down for the count
Bandages.
today.
Hey, make sure that one's written down for game night. Like for real. We need
But-
that discussion.
I think that's a good place to put a pin in it and move on. My topic is, and like I said, I'm gonna jump back on that Ja Morant shit. But me and my boy Trey was having a conversation yesterday about accountability and how Ja Morant's gonna be held accountable, and like us as a culture, we do a good job of over holding some certain people over accountable and letting other people get off with no accountability for the stuff they do that damage our culture. And it's like, are we placing our accountability in the right places when it comes to what actually, hurts our society? What actually, the people that actually are influencing these kids to even become like a Ja Morant. Like Ja Morant's a motherfucker who's influenced. And he ain't just acting in a vacuum. There's a lot of factors that went into the decision that he made. And are we holding those things accountable? Are we holding the people that are running those systems accountable? And that's what I want to, because I even go to, like, me and my boy Trey, we talk about, like, because he always want to, he always say we holding black people too accountable. And, but he talk about the bourgeoisie class. And I
Is
think
there such thing as too accountable?
it can be. I mean,
For sure.
you can be.
I would say
Yeah, there definitely can be, because accountability is it's a definite thing. So once you're accountable, somebody tries to re-hold you accountable, it's too much.
Oh yeah, if they
Like once you're been held accountable, like
Oh, yeah,
once
for
Ja
sure.
Morant gets his punishment, black people should shut the fuck up about that shit. Like, why are we still beating on them
Or if
It's
you're
not allowing somebody to
like
change.
pushing for accountability that's an overreach for sure.
as an over?
Like that'd be the easiest way to like
But then
define
there,
to accountable.
but then there's this whole other segment of like black people voting for Democrats for the last 60 years, and what's that done? And we don't hold those black people accountable for persuading us this one political way and how we've gotten taken advantage of for that and what damage that's done to our community. And we don't ever hold them people accountable, or they just skate away without getting called out and having somebody say, but it's easy for us to say something to Ja Morant and, oh, you need to be better. But what about all these motherfuckers who, just write black people off? And a lot of them come with a lot of people on the left, the media, these politicians, on both sides. So they write us off, and we don't hold them accountable, but
Yeah,
we'll hold a motherfucker like Ja Morant.
I would say that like there are probably a bigger population of black people that pay more attention to sports than politics.
Okay, but what actually affects us more, sports or
No, no, no,
politics?
100% agree. But I mean, I feel like that's probably really what it is. Is like the entertainment scope. They go really hard on the entertainers.
And that's what I
We
say
go
that
really
there's
hard on the
over
entertainers.
accountability in, like, when it comes to athletes. We want to hold our athletes super accountable, but how we holding our politicians, the black politicians? How accountable
That's
are we
facts.
holding them? We
Hmm.
want Ja Morant. That we stupid. And we saying all of this shit about Ja, bro from something that went to Crestwood. I don't know Crestwood. That ain't that good of a place, and we won't hold him accountable. But it's all these politicians out here, and they making laws throwing black people under the bus, getting paid, like making bread. Like people like Kamala Harris, how many black people she done sent to, she the vice
Locked up.
president?
Yeah.
What kind of accountability has she had for what she's done to black people? Or are we ever gonna hold her accountable? And that's just my thing. And like, I just want to question about like accountability and like why we, do things. But I'll regress and let y'all tap into that a little bit.
I'm still kind of developing my opinion. What I can say is that I am definitely one that is strong on accountability. Like being in the military, that like there's literally like direct like immediate consequence for said decision. You know what I mean? Like very often, and then like I mean in my life, and well, no, I have got some skates too. I have been able to skate on some shit too
But
that I
do your
didn't have
generals
to be
get
held.
held
Say again?
accountable? Like if you're a war general and you make a decision.
Oh yeah, no, no, no. So like in the higher ranked you are, there is definitely a different level of ways to be able to kind of slither through accountability as well. And I think that that's the same thing when it relates to like politicians. Politicians, they have that ability to what I mean, to swiggle and wiggle
Wiggle.
themselves away from being held accountable for, especially like you look at something. Let's just use this, right? We're talking about like right now the debt ceiling, right? So the U.S. could default.
Default. It's
Right.
coming up.
And so and at the end of the day, like I do understand, like I don't know, so we talk about Republican, Democrat.
Well, they not even
So
talking right now, which
yeah,
is
no, but
crazy.
they've tried to talk multiple times, so they're supposed to be coming back again,
I
and
think
because
bro
he
with
on
the
the
France or something
yeah,
though.
some meeting
Bro with
about.
the like what the fuck are you doing,
Yeah, I
Biden?
mean, but at the same time, I'm not either way.
But
I'm
there's
not a
no way you should
coming
go
to
to
bat for him,
France in the middle of
but he
some shit
did
like
kind of
this.
mention that like he didn't feel like that he should be going and that he should be, what I mean, facilitating this meeting.
Oh, that's what Biden
Yeah,
said.
yeah, he felt
Oh,
like that's really what he should have been doing, but then it seemed like they got the uproar off of the shit, and then so he went ahead and went to the meeting. But anyway,
okay.
but I
You
believe in
shouldn't be going to
accountability. So
fucking
like
France.
this is the thing when you even if it is as it relates to politics. So we can sit here and say that we couldn't. I mean, if you've been following the reason that we could default is because the Republicans want to add some additional cuts into the what you call it in order to approve the debt being raised. So what it is, and I'm not like at the end of the day, I understand like
Well, now
the
here's my thing. Who's gonna hold black people accountable for keeping on voting for these Democrats? Like, why are we still
at the
voting
end of the
for them
day, I mean,
at
I
like
don't even
over
think that's
ninety
something.
percent?
Only thing we can do is try to be more informed. You can't really hold because I think the reason why they keep getting reelected is because of the fact that we are not informed and we're just doing the same thing over and over, which is what was done prior to. Just the same way where we talking about black people that ain't living any kind of Christian faith, just saying they're Christians. We had that last episode or the episode before that. That's just, continuing the same things that have been done prior to. You know what I mean? So that's like outside the box thinking. We're not we're not fucking leading the way in that. You know what I mean? But I think that we're getting better at it though. With everything you're saying, like as far as the idea of you just coming up, or people in general saying like being conservative black people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even after Trump, that was actually healthy. I think Trump was healthy for everything. I said this before he got elected. You can ask old head, and I'm pretty sure Tone was out there. I felt like that Trump will be one of the whichever way it went, it would be one of the best things to happen to us. You know what I mean? Whichever way it went, I said that.
It
Just like
wasn't, but
it's the idea of first off, you can see everybody pretty much turned their backs on politics once he left. I guess they were entertained, and then now it's no longer entertaining. So we just go ahead and just let shit rock. And then now it's like we ain't really responding to shit that's going on.
he
So
wasn't good
nobody
at that.
know
But he made some crazy mistakes though as a president.
who.
Trump.
Oh yeah, and I mean, but every
Made some
president has
crazy
too.
mistakes though.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just saying. I think that but let's just get back on to the accountability. I think that you can, based on definitely, if you can't punish somebody and then double back and then try to punish them again. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in like the punishment should definitely meet the crime committed. Um, and
The outrage should match it too.
the outrage should absolutely
Like, the
match it.
outrage
But
should
man, but the
match.
thing is that we so led into outrage on times when you know what I mean. So we just doing shit,
Hey,
bro.
I just want to go ahead and chime in here.
Mhm.
Like the question that you asked, Newton. Really, the issue I kind of have with it is, well, I don't have an issue with it. I kind of think the answer lies within the question that you just asked. Like, you're saying who's going to hold black people accountable? We have to hold us accountable. That's the problem. Like we like with the Ja Morant situation,
No,
individual accountability is like out of the window. So it's easier for somebody to pay attention to something like that because of the fact that they don't have to individually be accountable for what Ja Morant did. Whereas with politics and stuff like that, we're individually accountable, like where we can see, well, like we literally have to pay attention to this as people and everything. So people tend to be like, well, other people not paying attention to it, and that's the whole thing. Like, so everybody doesn't pay attention to it. But at the end of the day, it's
but
still
how do we hold each other accountable if like we know this one thing we've been riding with isn't working?
mhm.
Like they're just as racist as the other side.
By
Like
speaking up. Nobody's speaking up against the stuff. Nobody's saying anything against the stuff. Everybody just lets everything slide. People think like, well, since everybody going with the flow. That's really what it come down to. Everybody go with the flow, and that leaves our opinion to be dictated by somebody else, a whole nother group.
a
Which
group.
I have a good idea who it is. It's pretty obvious. But well, Malcolm X said it first, so I just said white liberals lead the black community. Whether people realize it or not, I think that's a thing. Like we have, and I'm not even just gonna put it on white liberals, but like it's a democratic liberal type leadership with us, and we keep following along with it just because we're so used to it and going with the wheel, and really we're influencing
Well,
amongst
no,
ourselves.
but there's a lot of black leaders that influence us to keep on
They being
going,
control.
and those are the people I think need to be held accountable. Because like the black church,
Mm-hmm.
who told us all to vote for Bill Clinton and Joe Biden back in the day. Why don't we hold the black church accountable for the implications that come from that '94 crime bill? Because
Mm-hmm.
this is the candidate that you endorsed that wrote this
I mean, well,
bill, and we see the millions of black people that got arrested since then.
You know,
Why
the
are we
crazy
holding?
thing.
it was black people on that committee. So you saying the
Like,
black
why are
church
we
that
holding
wasn't
those black people
I
accountable
agree.
for
We
this
should
shit?
be questioning this
Like,
stuff. This
why
is
aren't we
something.
holding them accountable? Like, we want to hold Ja Morant
Hey, bro.
accountable for what he's doing to the black, but why are we holding them accountable for what they did to the black community?
That,
Yeah, no,
that
that
energy you got
it
right there is the solution, bro. Everybody got to have that energy. The same way you asking that question, that's where the solution lies.
That's my thing.
And
Is
people don't question this
we
stuff.
want to talk about
People
Ja
got to
Morant,
speak up
but
about
it's
it.
all them black people that was right there with Joe Biden when he signed that '94 crime bill.
yeah, no,
And
but you got to
Oh,
think
and
about
94.
these.
I was saying 92.
Yeah, you was, and I anyway, but
Y'all could have corrected me.
man, that's steep. But the thing about the and this is why that bill is actually one of those ones that like I kind of teeter on. I'm not saying that they didn't know, like the powers that be. I'm not saying that they didn't know what the repercussion of said thing was, but I can guarantee you that the black people that was forward, they were, and I mean it was a lot of them.
that's cool.
But
That's
what I'm saying,
cool.
but hold on, what I'm saying is that like the intention wasn't to just have the, you know what I mean, the population of the dog. You know what I mean? They were literally wanting to not see what they were seeing. People were living this scenario,
Cool.
and they were moving based on
Results
that.
matter. Like
Say
intentions
it again?
matter too. But even if you didn't want to kill somebody and you killed them, you still gotta be held accountable.
Yeah, no, but see,
Even if that
that's
wasn't your
not even the
intention.
same though.
It is the same. They didn't. They wanted what was best, but what happened might have been for the worst.
My nigga, Q over there wringing
Yeah,
his neck
what
and
you think,
everything.
Q?
He
I do
got
wanna know.
Well, Johnny just started saying things I stopped agreeing with just then. Damn it. Results matter. And intentions matter. I'll chime in on that really, really quickly. I think that if you are intentionally trying to find the solution, sometimes you might do some things that's going to have a negative effect. But
Okay,
what the
okay.
intention was, if it's like to actually get the correct thing,
Okay.
I think that probably is, as long as like you're continually searching for that.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
like
No, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. That
um
is fair.
But it wasn't fair when I said it.
You didn't say it. That.
but I would say that
It's fair when you said it too.
Y'all nigga.
I think
Go ahead.
that we've kind of like got lost in examples to what
Mhm.
Newton's
What was
actual point is.
Mhm.
Where his point is the fact that why is it that as black people we hold our athletes and entertainers to a higher accountability than we do the people that actually impact our real life?
Well, I
Is that not that? And I think that we got lost in
I got
examples,
an answer for
but
that.
the reality is that like I don't know if anybody here disagrees. I like to hear like the accountability should be levied way more to the people that are impacting our actual real life
Influence.
And
That's my
I think
whole point. That's my whole point.
And I get that part, but the thing is that the reason I think that we hold them there is because the level of influence that they have, the level of influence that it's different. Like, and I definitely agree that we should hold politicians more accountable than athletes.
But can I ask you a
and
quick question?
entertainers.
When has a black person did something negative over like any level of a stretch of time and not been held extremely responsible? And don't even like get into the idea of like the comparison game of like the black responsibility over like the Caucasian one. But like I don't know the black person that has been in the public eye that has just skated over an extremely long period of time. Like black people throughout history, every single time
Get held accountable.
Like that's not even
Not
like a
an
real
issue-
thing
it's
that
not
we have
an
to scratch
issue
our head
with
about
us.
and be like, huh? But them
Well, I mean,
niggas
at
ain't
the
getting
same
held
time,
accountable.
I don't know.
Them niggas in jail.
I think
Trey
I ain't
gonna
gonna.
love this shit, bro. Okay.
I wouldn't disagree all the way, but I mean, at the same time, there's always gonna be some people that are guilty that haven't had to hold it. You said they.
Oh no! All right, so like, but we're not going to speak in extremes. We're talking about in general. If
Oh, yeah,
there is
yeah,
a known
in general,
thing that
for
when
sure.
it comes down to one thing, a black person in the public
It's
ain't
gonna
gonna
hold
do.
it.
Let's talk about Jonathan Majors. Before the verdict came down, we had the black folks on which call it like
Persecuting.
Bro, black folk just be going with shit, bro. That be
But
the
that's
funny
the point
thing.
of what he's saying is
Yeah.
that like maybe like we be focusing on over accountability in the wrong spaces.
I get it.
Because of like
And there's
again
a whole
like
lack of
let us
accountability
social-
in other spaces.
No,
like
I
social
absolutely get it.
accountability when it comes to black folk, like that shit gonna happen every time. I just don't know when it happens. I mean when it doesn't happen, and that's my thing. But when we extrapolate that on the larger front, well, like how often are we going, or how consistently are we going to get? We're gonna get tricked by the low hanging fruit and not actually get the shit that actually matters, right? And I do think that like if we speak on the juxtaposition of like Ja Morant
We're
into like
entertained.
actual real political change or institutional correction, I think that Ja Morant shit for 0.5 seconds of like doing this with a gun at his house while his homeboy like recording it, it's like
Could that be
very
worth
so
$40
minimal.
million? That's what he lost.
Well, I don't even care about that. I just don't think that
You
it's
said
that.
billion. Go ahead.
No, million. 40 million.
I
That's
just
what he
think
lost.
that like the levy of attention across the board as a group is pushed way too far over there. If we actually want to improve our quality of life.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy. I think that like I agree with you 100% on that. And it was something that I was looking at. They were saying that like hell, the UFC dude from UFC mentioned you don't want to Ja Morant it on in the UFC. Like, bro, why is everybody doubling, tripling down?
Dana White said
on the
that
shit.
Yeah, but that's why Trey was mad because Dana White slapped his wife on camera. and he talking about Ja Morant.
Yeah, like
You
literally, like
slapped,
no,
you
I
literally
get that 100%.
got recorded slapping your wife.
I 100%
You talking
agree.
about we don't want to Ja Morant it. You don't want to Dana
Yeah.
White it, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you
That
don't,
carpet and
That's
swept
the
it under.
facts. That's the facts.
you don't want to Dana White it.
That's the
But he
facts.
talking about Ja Morant. What's worse, up and one for 0.5 seconds or slapping your wife on camera?
Yeah, nah, for sure.
But that's the guy who slapped his wife was talking about the guy
Yeah.
who upped it.
Yeah, it was another example of like
Damn.
where
You
Skip
don't
Bayless
wanna-
brought
you
Ja
don't wanna
Morant
Ja Morant it.
into the damn series with the Lakers versus the Nuggets. Like, bro,
Nuggets.
what does that have to do with you just
But
literally?
that's what I'm saying. Like black, like we gonna
ODing
get
on
held
it.
accountable, especially if
Yeah.
we talk about
No, I
like
can
Skip
100%
Bayless
agree.
be
mainstream
lacing his
media.
Jordans all the way up. You can't listen to what the
He
fuck he be
suspect
saying.
anyway.
Ain't nothing more clickable than the plight of the black man, especially when he's being villainized and demonized.
Yeah, no, and we literally just keep doing it over and over. We literally keep doing it over and over.
So when
I
do
100%
we?
agree.
So when do we stop and when do we start holding these other motherfuckers accountable?
And that's gonna be the thing is that how do you decide, or is it that we decide not to publicly speak out about what we do and have the people
I
around us
wouldn't
hold,
publicly speak negative
hold-
about
hold
any
us
black
accountable.
person. Like, I mean,
No, I would definitely do that.
I mean, we can, but like they're
And that's what
going
I'm
to do
saying,
it.
like, where is
They're
that?
going
'Cause
to
there's
do
a
it
nuance to
regardless.
find
So
in that,
like, why
too.
do I got it? Like, why do I have to come on here and say anything?
I'm
about
not gonna be
Ja
the
Morant?
heavy on crime on like some 23-year-old guy that's like still figuring shit out. And to me, to me, I only care if it's an overreach. And I think that if it's an overreach, then I prefer that be pushed the other way. When we talk about like the accountability against like Democrats and us voting at a 90% block, but like what results we've gotten inside the last 50 years, outside of institutional programs that have left us inside a cycle of being downtrodden.
Yeah, no, we definitely, and when it come down to the political space, we definitely
Hey,
have to hold them more
so
accountable.
come November,
You wrote Republican.
nah, look at the ballot. Like, just look at the
Yeah, nah, I
ballot and
definitely
vote. Like, don't tie yourself to
Yeah,
one
nah, I know
side.
that.
For sure.
Like, that's my only advice. Like, I ain't saying Democrat, Republican, because that's crazy to just
Stick on,
say
yeah.
one side.
Okay.
It's crazy. Look at all of
So
them
start independent and then figure out.
and figure it out from there.
100%
And that's how
agree.
we should operate as a people.
What I will say,
Like, fuck all this Democrat, Republican. Like, it frustrates me so much when I hear people arguing politics on a left or right side. Because it's like,
Get 'em,
this
Tom.
shit is broken. This shit is broken from a left or right side. So maybe we need to start looking at it from like other, like it. That shit just frustrates me
Anytime
so
they
bad.
give you two choices and there's more choices, anytime they say, "Oh, you can either go this way or this way," but
And
there's
there's
obviously more choices.
Don't trust
Yeah,
it.
don't
I
get-
think that very sentiment is going across the going in and out. I think that very sentiment is going across the black community right now, like
agree.
where y'all are at right now. Like the same way we getting here and we arriving to this conclusion is coming up because people are speaking about it. So I say that, like, I want to applaud the fact that we had this conversation on here. Just kudos real quick. And I say anybody, like if you speak what's wrong, speak about what's wrong, say what you see wrong. Like, because that's really what the problem is. When a lot of evil is being done, it's because the good people not saying nothing.
I agree.
Yeah, that's fact.
It ain't nothing wrong with being wrong either. Like, just
I mean,
speak your piece and be
like ain't nobody
it's
right
okay.
all the time.
Yeah, it's
Like
okay,
if
bro.
you actually out here trying to figure it out, you
You
gonna
been
be
wrong.
fucking wrong, bro.
You been wrong,
like you
bro.
gonna be like it's a part of it, bro. Anytime you done did a math problem and that shit was super hard, you gotta do 2 or 3 calculations. The first one you do probably gonna be wrong. And I ain't even that good at math to even understand how you do it. But I understand you. First time you tried.
That's why his was wrong.
No, the crazy
Tony,
thing is
tell
that-
him that you used to get him right, bro. I took math class with Tony. I tried to.
used to
This is
cheat off
another
my
story.
paper.
Tony also he used to be a hater. He ain't like to let me cheat.
Oh, hey, but
I had it was me and
I ain't
we
like
was in
math, but I
class,
took the hardest math.
and I was like,
class.
"Hey, Tone,
Bro, I wasn't even
But
good
you
at
know what
geometry.
Tone was doing? Tone was doing this.
Oh man, you was.
I wasn't even good in geometry.
Hey, no, it was
I
funny.
used
He
to
told
share
me,
my answers with niggas because I was like, hey, if I fail, we gonna fail together.
if everybody failed, then they gonna have
Everybody
to come. You
gonna
know how they
fail.
changed the
Because
rubric and like
look
make
at my
the.
answers, I'd be like, hey, you can look at it if you want to.
Hey, you know how the teachers did? Like if the highest point was, you know what I mean? Whoever
Yeah,
scored the
that was
highest,
the
that was the 100.
They would curve it.
And then they had to curve
They'll
it.
curve
So
it.
shit, if we all fuck up, then hey.
Bro, I was in IB math. This is crazy. I was in IB math. We had valedictorian, salutatorian in this class. It was an IB math class. It was like 16 kids in it. We got this one test. The valedictorian got a 72 on it.
Shit.
So she curved it from there.
Makes sense.
Goddamn 72.
Bro, I'm talking about seeing 32, 16, 17.
Sheesh.
Like
I done been
the
in middle school.
the grades were, I saw an 8.
And you
Motherfucker, it was a six question test. Like it was the
Nah, that's fuck. You can't give me the 6-question test. Come
But this
on,
shit was
bro.
like
I only want
it
to
shit look
curve it
like
just a little
French,
bit real
bro.
quick. So, if I'm being honest, I think that like as we're speaking about class, high school education, I think my most impactful math class that I had was advanced functions and modeling. In that class, that's why I learned about interest rates, compounding, and different shit like that. I learned about like whether it was like mortgages inside. What else was it? Like most of the things inside that class was actual real reality,
Damn,
and like how you actually maneuver inside the world.
that's
And
crazy.
that was like one of those classes that before I graduated,
That's the one you
that was the
slept
last
in.
one that I
No, I
took.
was about to say either I
And
dropped out too early or I wasn't
and
smart enough to get in that motherfucker. Or,
well,
Nah,
not
you had
to say
choices in
smart
math.
enough,
yeah,
I
like
didn't
that
apply
one
You had
was like
choices in
you can
math.
kind of like take that or take like trig or some shit like
Or
that.
Yeah.
pre-cal.
And
okay.
like that one was a little bit more of like the real life application one. And for me, like I ended up taking that one, and like that was one of those ones where I think like we explained APR and shit like that in there, and that was like one of those ones where I was like, okay, like
I passed the class and I don't even remember it.
I learned a lot. Nothing.
Hey, all right, Johnny, what it is, man?
Oh nah, y'all done? Yeah, y'all done got everything.
And
else?
another thing about traditional shit, it's the white man. Now go ahead.
No, I think that was a good one, man. It was a good show. I want to say, like, comment, subscribe, please share. If you're on Instagram, share us to your stories. Facebook, share us to your story. TikTok, what they do? They re-TikTok it or something?
Shit, I don't know.
I don't know.
They remix it maybe.
Go on our TikTok. Fuck with us there. It is
Mhm.
the 2B Fed Show on everything.
Do we got a Snapchat? I seen you still a Snapchat bull.
How the fuck you
Snapchat.
seen I'm still a Snapchat boy? How the fuck you see?
Your phone be
How
goddamn
the fuck-
dinging off over
How
here.
the fuck you
Face
see?
up over here. I'll be like,
How
oh,
the-
that's the
How
Snapchat
the fuck you
emoji.
see?
I forgot about Snapchat.
Bro, I
Wait,
got one snap. I'm a Snapchat boy. I don't even know what that was, but
I ain't got no random Snapchats.
I don't even have a
Okay.
You ain't even
Snapchat.
got the app, huh?
No, I don't have the app.
Do
Hey,
we got the Snapchat then?
I do got
Oh, you
Snapchat.
just that's your what was it when they started getting paid off the porn on Snapchat? Oh, that's where you sending our OnlyFans to. All right, my bad.
No,
Johnny's P on at OnlyFans.
Johnny's feet.
It also is linked to like the Snapchat that serves up like I guess he take toilet pictures or something. I don't know.
Johnny Speed.
Hey, that's gonna be the one.
That is hilarious. But let me digress. I want to say, yeah, hit the notification button up there. If the OnlyFans ever pop up, y'all get the notification first.
Mm-hmm.
I am your host, Johnny P,
Over here, real.
It's Q.
and we out.
I love Rail's mom.